Hey people, a couple movies ago I was searching for where I'd found the Magin, meaning magic or the Magi. And so I've opened a bunch of pages, some stuff I found. So I'm going to read a bunch of these surrounding the words magnet or maginate or magi. And I'm going to start right here. This is in laminations. This last letter, the T, all laminations is written in order. And so this is the last two lines. And they're either set in ones or threes. So some of them have 22 lines and some have 66 lines. But this is the last letter T, and it's just 3 lines. And this is to tighten. And to tighten, that's where the Titans come from. It means a person or thing of great strength, intellect, or importance. And so the Titan to great strength lems, L-E-M-S. And so this is a final M. It's always read as an S, except here it has this line. And so it reads twice, so it's only a S when it's final, so it's L-E-M-S, lems. So back in the day, lem, was a broth or soup in many languages. To lem is a broth, a bouillon. So the Titan, to strengthen lems, cooks up. The strength cooks up the magnet, to imagine it. And then backwards and forwards, in levit tails it, in levit tail it tells. The magnet in levital, and to imagine it in levital, L-V-T is levit, where the word Levi comes from. But the levity is excessive or unseemingly frivolity. She would tolerate no levity in the classroom. Lack of steadiness, changeableness, the levity. So we'll have no talk of that levity here. The levitit, the levit, and then 2 T's, the tail it, and then the final K with this mark is read as a T. So it's another T-L-E-S. And so you can see here, this is the lems, L-E-M-S, with the mark up here. And here it's just the less. It doesn't have the M in it. The last M turns into a S. And so it's less. The levit tail it tells. T-L-E-S. The tells and it's less. And this comes from, the final, it's read as a T or possibly a R, but it means to give, and then L of this. And so it's like in legal terms, you have your leaseor and your leasee, and your less is what's being lessed. If you're the leaser, you're lessing your property to the lessee. And so you have less, it comes from of this. This is what it's all about. You have this, the subject, what's being leased, and you have the leaser and the leasee, and the lease is the written terms upon which he will pay, upon them of which he will pay for his let. So I'm going to come back and read these other 2 lines. Better put the T in its place, but that's what this means. These 3 lines will start with the T all the way through this book of laminations. It's all in order. It's all in alphabetical order. And so they'll all start with the T. And so they'll go out of the way to get the T in there. But as I was looking for words associated with the magnet there, the maginate, I come up on this psalm where this magining come up in the 2nd line. I went to look at that. Here's the shield again. And being it's so close to the beginning, I figured that'd be the best place to start. And it's called Blessed Be the Lord, My Rock, a Psalm of David. But this David, you see it's got a mark here, so it's read L-D-U-D-U-D. And it's of the dude, D-U-D, and then W-D, of dude wood. and then you run into this wall. And so you read it backwards, D-U-D-L, of dude would doodle. And so the words that follow this is always different in the Psalms. It's written different every time. And the words that follow would tell you where he will doodle, where he read this. And of the dude would doodle, and then the S up here tells you to go back and pick up this L. And you see the same thing in music. And it's called a gruppetto turn. And what it means is a group it to turn. The group it to turn. And so the turn, the gruppetto, a turn is a short figure consisting of the note above the one indicated, the note itself, the note below the one indicated, and the note itself again. And so it's written like this. It's confusing as all hell, but it's played like this. And so, you play your note, and then you go back and get the one below, and the one below, and then step back up. And so depending on where it's at is whether you're going to replay the last note or replay the group, the group it to. So you have a dot here, so it's two B's and then the L. Now you're looking at In Bell Rock, or Bible Rock You. Of the dude would doodle, Bible rock you. The one rocking the Bible, or in the bell rock. And so the bell rock was here. The timekeeper, he watched the bell rock shadow, and he rung the bell for the time, the bell rock. He rang the bell on the hours. And so he was the dude that was doodling bell rock. And so all his doodles aren't there anymore. Some of them's missing. So it's of dude would doodle, Bible rock you, Y-E-W. And then the line has you read this again, so it's Y-E-W, then E-V-E, you have. Of dude would doodle, in bell rock you have. And then the wall tells you to read this backwards again. And it's E, the way, W-E-Y, the way, the curb, and then the gruppetto turn has you read the R again after. And so it's the curb ruts, R-T-X, R-X, R-T-S. The way the curb ruts, and then vary, V-I-R-Y. The little diamond up here is doing the same as the gruppetto, except instead of bringing the letter behind in front, you're bringing the letter in front behind. So you're reading this W-I-R-Y, vary. Of the dude would doodle, the bell rock, in bell rock you have. The way curb, up against the curb, up on the side. The curb writs vary, or variable. The curb around the edge is writs variable. And then the malum, M-L-M, the malum, to maul, you're hammered in. The malum maul, two M's with the dot here. The malum maul, to hammer, maidum, M-E-D-M, maidum. Diddy, D-I-D-Y, the maidum Diddy, and then handy, D-I-D-Y, and then the other way, I-D-Y. Did'em handy, handy of, the L is of. So it's the maidum Diddy handle, Crave, Q-R-V. So the dude up there doodling, on the bell rock, and you have the way of the curb, you're out on the edge, in the writs vary, in the writings of vary. The malum mal maidum, that what you all hammered in. Diddy, D-I-D-Y, did he handle Crave. He was looking for something to hold on to. There was nothing to hold out there. Who trains my hands for war? Or did he handle Crave? This Crave is a misreading. Its QR is for, the handle for VY, divide, strive for. But it's also the Crave, and then you move the U over, so it's a J-U-T. The jute is a rope that your fingers are grabbing hold of. You're hanging on a rope up there, the jute. and then WOVVX, the Wovitz. The jute wove it so. Or to crave it what wove it so. XAVTSA. To crave it what so. And then the line here tells you to read the A again before you get here. And this is where your word alchemy comes from. And it's to crave it what so, all ALM, all of them, mill, from will, come. All of them will come. And so it's playing with words, he's looking for a handle, something to grab onto, but a handle is also a handle. A handle is a pseudonym, and his handle is of the dude would doodle, is his handle. So this who trains my hands for war and my fingers for battle, you can still buy a jute training climbing rope today, and you hang that from the ceiling, you climb up it, and that will train your hands for war. And if you want to see training for war, grab a hold of a tree cutter that's used to climbing ropes all day and see what kind of war you got. And then has thy, HS, and then the D with the top, it's a double letter, THY. Has thy a mix, a UMX. Has thy a mix with tie. A mix with tie. And then you see how the group of two is hanging off to the side now, and so it's saying to grab both of these letters instead of just the T after, and so it's a mix with tie and then TIM, the times siege, SG, two G's, and a mix with tie, the times siege, Gabby, one who talks a lot. You lock her in the tower because you're afraid she might say something. The times siege Gabby. And then a map let likely. A map and then LT and a little mark over the T is saying to grab the L and step it down. Chet, tet, yod, kaf, lamb. And so you're grabbing the L and you're stepping it back down to the K and then the Y. And the map let likely. Imagining. To of which city. To of which. Of is your father. You're of your father. And so this has been misread as and from plight, to deliver, to run, to people who did understand this mark. And so it's from the plight or give lie, the LK of give, the plight or give the lie. And it's the lie is where it's at on the map. All the words are intermingled. And so imagining of. A woman has got a bunch of kids from a bunch of different daddies. That's how she'll call their name, and the one in whom is of. This is of John Simmons' kid, and this is of Big Mac's kid, the one in whom of which city, SITY, which city, and here would, ERWD, which city here would Dom, DOMMO, Domo, which city here would Domo, who subdues my people, here would dominate, here would dom and then the other way, JMY, Jimmy the day, who would dominate, here would dominate the day that tie, THTTY, the day that tie, the Jimmy that tie. And so which city here would dom is the domicity. Domicity or domicile, your home, the city that you dominate, your home, the one you made your own, to make one's home. And so, to use all these words, it's just a poet trying to put this together. But this read with the last W of here, from a father, of a father, and then the W, and the one in whom, and then which. And so you can read this as which here would the domicity. The H read with the W. The which here would domicity. The city, is the quality you pick up from the domus, the dama, of the day, that tie, in that day. And so when you name a city, you're given that quality. That's what city means, is that quality. In Hub City, we got a bunch of crossroads. In its osity, in its quality of. In New York City, you have the quality of the new shall be in charge. The new money printers. And so, of Dude Would Doodle, Bell Rock, you have the way the curb ruts vary. The Malamal Medum Diddy. A ditty, D-I-D-Y. A ditty is a little short song. And so a ditty is a breast or something very small, tiny. Or a fool, what a ditty. And so it probably means a small mistake. The Malum Mall made him a ditty, made him a little mistake. And the handle of Crave what's wove it so, all 'em'll come. Has thy a mix would it tie times, had mixed up the writings in the times. And then Gabby plight. And so it's has thy a mix, your mistake, your mix. Would tie times Gabby. The Times Gabby is the ancient word for the news. The Times Gabby. Gabby plight, and they will run with that story, the mistake you made. And then you don't see it here, but like I say, this mark has you grabbing the L and then the K and then the Y. You're counting back down, the 12, the 11, and the 10. The K is the 11. Has thy a mix would tie times Gabby, and from plight likely imagining of which city here would domum Jimmy that tie. So if you keep looking in here, you can get more out of it. But the first thing you notice is out of the 11 words here, 9 of them end with the I. You can't get that out of the translation. And this first word here, this is chastity. And my loving kindness is actually chastity. And they're getting this from Chastity, is Jupiter, chest. And that's known as Jupiter, the Chastity. And it means Sachiel, the archangel of Jupiter, the speech of God or silence of God. So that loving kindness fortress is chastity, and chastity a mix would tie. The Times Gabby, whom plight likely, imagining of in which city, because of the mistake he had made, having the wrong quality, the city. And here would Dama Jimmy that tie, the dominating day, the dominating time. And here would Dama Jimmy that tie. And so it seems like the embarrassment would be that you would have of a ofs instead of a from, or from of, a father and a mother, not two fathers, of a of. And so this is just the second line. And so I'm sure in here in this psalm it's going to tell a great story of how he fixed the mix-up, and it's going to be real amusing. But underneath lies all this is how the times changed, and you have to change your astrology. And that's what it's really talking about here under the layers. You know, and a song new I was singing. You have to sing a new song because times are changing. And so back to the letter of the day, letter T, these 3 lines starting with the T. So this dot and the T, you know, means 2 T's, or just read tit, meaning it. And then subvisive, S-I-V, and then read the S-I-V again. S-I-V, S-I-V, subvisive. And so subvisive is the opposite of decisive. You know, somebody who's decisive, that's the boss man. He's the one that can settle an issue, producing a definite result, having or showing the ability to make decisions quickly and effectively is decisive. But subvisive, you know, comes from this subvis. You know, you see it here with the A-E, subvis, C-E-V-E-S. As a small cow, you know, something small. You know, food used to fatten animals, subvis. You know, it's subvisive, less game will you commos, idis, the commodities. And so it's playing with words. It's, you know, commotion and the commodities, you know, something that you have, you know, handy this. And to subvisive, less game will, you know, less game. Game is women. Less game will you commose, to stir up, according to the work. They're stirring up the pot. The commose idis. And so you can see it's still playing with this word here, the less. You know, here it come up in the next line, but it's the limbs now. And the less again down here. And so the less, you know, is the one is the subject, the one being talked about, the one that the lesser is assigning to the lessee. And so to subvisive, less, you know, to a small cow lent, the game will you commose idis, the commosities, to give the motion. If there's nothing moving, you know, the commodities, they don't make any money. Things have to be moving. Tighten limbs, imagine it. Inlevit, talit, tells. You know, strong, cooked up out of it. The broth, the limbs, the strong that's cooked out of it. Imagine it. Inlevit, exaggerate, you know, to levitt, you know, to raise it up, to levitt, tail it, tells. If your commodities aren't moving, you tell it the tale of levitt, of an exaggerated truth. You know, Elon Musk, a hostile takeover of Twitter. And then to trader bopper, and this is a final P, and like all the final letters, it has another meaning, and it's a R. I'm pretty sure it's a R. This is the trader, and then here it has the line like the first time, so it's a B-A-P and then a R, bopper, a trader bopper. You know, a bopper, a person who dances. You know, the trader bopper, the one who dances in trades. And so the pursuing your anger tells me the saying to the trader, and then B is in appear, A-P-R, in your appearance. The trader in appear. And the what's mids, and then mit. With the dot and the T, there's 2 T's. So instead of from that, it's with, MT, with that. And then to shame you, you know. This is usually said, and they called his name. You know, they're going to call you for what you did. You shame, to shame you. And so the trader in appear, what shame does, you know, through from, what it did, what came of it. What shame does, with that shame you. So I'm going to close a couple windows up, and I'm going to work on this other window I got open and show you about the maggot and the magi and how they get 5 out of this comes. All right, I'm gonna cut this off here. Good day.